Chosen one, do not scroll. Do not ignore this. If you are hearing this right now, heaven interrupted your routine for a reason. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is not just another video. God is speaking directly to you. Yes. You, the one who has been crying silently, the one who smiles in public but breaks in private, the one who wonders why everything feels like it's falling apart at the same time. He sees you. He knows your name. And he sent this message to find you. You have been feeling it, haven't you? The distance, the silence, the shift. People who once called you daily now barely respond. Friends who once celebrated you now compete with you. Family who once understood you now misunderstand you. It feels sudden. It feels sharp. It feels personal. And you've asked yourself over and over again, what did I do wrong? But listen carefully. You didn't do anything wrong. You're changing. You're evolving. You're outgrowing spaces that were never meant to hold your destiny. And when God begins to elevate you, not everyone is permitted to come. That rejection you felt, it wasn't abandonment. It was divine redirection. That betrayal, that shattered you, it wasn't the end. It was exposure. That sudden loneliness, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You thought you were losing people, but heaven says you were being protected. You thought doors were closing, but heaven says wrong rooms were being emptied. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven says you were being hidden. There is a difference. You have been in a season where nothing makes sense. You pray, and it feels quiet. You try, and it feels blocked. You love, and it feels unreturned. You give, and it feels unnoticed. And the enemy whispered to you, you are alone. But that was a lie. You were never alone. You were being separated. There is a difference. God will separate you before he elevates you. He will isolate you before he reveals you. He will prune you before he promotes you. Because not everyone clapping for you is assigned to you. Not everyone smiling at you is aligned with you. Some people were sent to test you. Some were sent to teach you. But only a few were sent to walk into destiny with you. And God loves you too much to let the wrong hands shape your future. You felt the shift. Conversations became shallow. Energy became strange. Support became conditional. And you blamed yourself. You overanalyzed. You replayed every conversation. In your mind, you tried to fix what God was removing. But hear this clearly. When God removes someone from your life, stop chasing. When God closes a door, stop knocking. When God exposes a motive, stop negotiating. Because what he removes, he replaces. What he cuts off, he upgrades. What he blocks, he protects. You are not crazy for feeling spiritual warfare. You are not dramatic for sensing tension. You are not weak for feeling tired. You have been in a battle, not a physical one, a spiritual one. Because when you carry purpose, resistance increases. The enemy doesn't fight people who are going nowhere. He attacks those who are about to shift dimensions. And you, chosen one, are shifting. That's why distractions intensified. That's why misunderstandings multiplied. That's why you felt heavy without explanation. It wasn't random. It was reaction. The spirit realm reacts when destiny awakens. You've been wondering why relationships dissolved so quickly, why loyalty turned into distance, why love turned into coldness, why support turned into silence. But God says, I was clearing the room. You were asking Him for elevation, but elevation requires separation. You were asking Him for new blessings, but new wine cannot stay in old wineskins. You were asking Him for clarity, but clarity requires exposure. Some people had to leave because they only knew the old version of you, and the new version threatens what they are comfortable with. Growth makes some people uncomfortable. Your hunger for more makes small minds nervous. Your faith irritates fear. Your discipline exposes laziness. Your light exposes hidden motives. And instead of adjusting, some people chose to exit. Let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them distance themselves. Because what is ordained for you cannot be sabotaged by gossip. What is written for you cannot be erased by rejection. Isaiah 54:17 says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Notice it didn't say the weapon wouldn't form. It said it wouldn't prosper. The betrayal formed, but it didn't destroy you. The rejection formed, but it didn't stop you. The loneliness formed, but it didn't break you. You are still here, still standing, still believing. Even if your belief feels small, even if your strength feels thin, even if your heart feels bruised, you are still here. And that means God is not finished. You have been in a pruning season, and pruning feels painful. Branches are cut, old growth removed, comfort stripped, but pruning is not punishment. It is preparation for greater fruit. John 15:2 says He prunes the branches that bear fruit so they can bear more. You were already fruitful. That's why the cutting came. You were already growing. That's why the separation happened. You were already chosen. That's why the attack intensified. The enemy doesn't attack emptiness. He attacks potential. He attacks calling. He attacks those marked by heaven. And you are marked. That's why your life has never been ordinary. That's why you feel things deeply. That's why you sense shifts before they happen. That's why crowds exhaust you. That's why fake energy drains you. You are spiritually sensitive, and the more you grow, the less tolerance you have for what is not authentic. God is refining your discernment. You used to ignore red flags. Now you see them immediately. You used to tolerate disrespect. Now it unsettles your spirit. You used to shrink to keep peace. Now you would rather stand alone than betray your soul. That is growth. That is awakening. That is elevation. But elevation feels lonely at first, because when you rise, the circle gets smaller, not because you are better, but because you are different, and different requires alignment. God is aligning you, aligning your friendships, aligning your environment, aligning your opportunities, aligning your mindset, because where you are going, you cannot carry who you used to be. And you cannot drag people who refuse to grow. You cried over people who were assignments, not attachments. They were seasonal. And seasons change. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says there is a time for everything. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. Some people were planted for a lesson, not a lifetime. And the moment the lesson was learned, heaven scheduled their exit. You called it loss. God called it graduation. You called it heartbreak. God called it liberation. You called it abandonment. God called it protection, because you couldn't see what He saw. You didn't see the conversations behind your back. You didn't see the jealousy hidden in compliments. You didn't see the competition disguised as support. But God did. And before it could poison your future, He removed it. That wasn't cruelty. That was mercy. You have been asking for clarity, but clarity often comes through distance. When someone steps away, their true posture is revealed. When support disappears, motives are exposed. When silence replaces loyalty, alignment is tested, and now you see. Now you understand. Now you feel the shift. You are not who you used to be. Your standards changed. Your focus sharpened. Your tolerance decreased. And some people felt that. They felt you pulling away from mediocrity. They felt you detaching from drama. They felt you refusing to shrink. And instead of rising with you, they resented you. But hear this. You are not responsible for carrying people who refuse to walk. You are not obligated to stay small so others feel comfortable. You are not required to explain your growth to those committed to stagnation. God is calling you higher. Higher thinking. Higher discipline. Higher faith. Higher obedience. And higher requires lighter. Some weights had to drop. Some voices had to fade. Some connections had to dissolve. Because where you are going demands clarity, and clarity demands space. You thought the silence meant God left you, but what if the silence was construction? What if the quiet was alignment? What if the waiting was strategic? Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good, not some things, all things. The betrayal, the isolation, the delay, the confusion, the closed doors, all of it, working together. Behind the scenes, rearranging, repositioning, realigning. You are in the middle of a divine rewrite, and rewrites feel messy before they feel miraculous. The author removes characters, changes scenes, shifts dialogue, rewrites outcomes, and from the inside, it feels chaotic, but from above, it is intentional. God is about to change your story, not slightly, not subtly, drastically, but before the public victory comes the private separation. Before the platform comes the pruning. Before the celebration comes the isolation. David was anointed king long before he wore the crown. Joseph dreamed of rulership before he entered the palace. Between promise and fulfillment, there was isolation, misunderstanding, betrayal, delay. But the delay was development. The isolation was instruction. The betrayal was transportation. Everything that looked like opposition was actually positioning. And that is what is happening to you. You are being positioned strategically, divinely, intentionally. This season is not random. It is rehearsed in heaven. Every exit, every delay, every disappointment, all orchestrated for alignment. You feel stretched because you are expanding. You feel uncomfortable because you are transforming. You feel lonely because you are separating from what cannot follow. And soon, very soon, you will look back and thank God for the doors that slammed. You will thank Him for the unanswered messages. You will thank Him for the plans that fell through, because they were detours from disaster. You thought you were ready for certain things, but God saw further. He saw what would drain you. He saw what would distract you. He saw what would delay destiny. And he said no, not to hurt you, but to protect you, because you were chosen. Not perfect, not flawless, but chosen. And chosen people go through unique separation. Chosen people feel different. Chosen people are misunderstood. Chosen people walk alone sometimes because their path is uncommon. But uncommon paths lead to uncommon impact. You were not created to blend in. You were created to break cycles, to raise standards, to shift atmospheres, to open doors for others. And that kind of calling requires refinement. Refinement requires fire. And fire reveals what cannot survive your next level. Some relationships burned away because they were built on convenience. Some opportunities collapsed because they were built on ego. Some plans failed because they were built without divine timing. But what is built by God cannot be shaken. And what He is building in you right now is unshakable. You feel the stirring, don't you? That inner knowing, that quiet confidence returning, that peace that doesn't make sense, that strength rising from nowhere. That is not you. That is grace. That is God restoring your clarity, restoring your fire, restoring your identity. You almost forgot who you were trying to please everyone. You almost lost yourself trying to keep peace. You almost dimmed your light to stay accepted. But not anymore. Something broke, and something awakened. You were done shrinking, done begging, done explaining, done chasing. You are stepping into alignment. And alignment feels powerful. It feels calm. It feels clear. You are no longer reacting. You are discerning. You are no longer desperate. You are intentional. You are no longer afraid of being alone. You are afraid of being misaligned. And that shift changes everything. Because when you choose alignment over attachment, heaven moves. Doors begin to open that you didn't knock on. Opportunities find you. Peace guards you. Confidence anchors you. You stop forcing. You start flowing. And when you flow with God's timing, acceleration happens. Suddenly what felt stuck moves quickly. Suddenly what felt delayed aligns instantly. Suddenly what felt impossible becomes natural. Get ready, because acceleration is coming. Not chaos. Not confusion. Acceleration. God is about to change your story. The tears you cried in secret are about to water public testimony. The prayers you whispered at night are about to produce visible breakthrough. The faith you held onto by a thread is about to become your anchor in abundance. This is the turning point. Not because everything around you changed, but because you changed. And when you change, your world responds. Stay ready. Stay aligned. Stay listening. Because what is coming will require courage. And you have it. Even if you forgot, even if you doubted, even if you questioned, you have it. You were built for this shift. And it is closer than you think.